Hello, everyone. And, I'm so sorry for being late here. I totally forgot it was Wednesday, because we're all going forward and stuff. So, it's one of those things. Okay, so here, I'm going to go live on Instagram here. Um, but, as we're going through life and managing life, it's just kind of interesting how things are going. So, you know, that, we're all kind of in the midst of doing things weird and that kind of thing. So I just want you to know that no matter what. So for those of who are going to be listening this later in podcast, I am like 20 minutes late going live because I totally spaced it. And so it's one of those things that as we go live and as we're doing things that, there's just these amazing things that happen, right? So that's the thing that, being a pessimist or an optimist, or even doing these different dances, right, that we all need to do, that there's this chance of life happening around us. So, optimism, pessimism, new energy coming in with this new moon. I had this thing that, I was like, oh, I have plenty of time because I thought it was actually Tuesday. So, I apologize totally to those who wanted to be here and listen to this show. So with that, we're all going forward in life, and me being an optimist, and my girlfriend was just here and she gave me a break, and that was grace for me. That we're all having these stories of how can we maneuver and go forward and do what we're doing. And being an optimist like I am, let's see, I'm going to go live here um, on Instagram, I think. Let's see here. But I might just give it a break. No, I'm going to just give that a break. I'm not even going to go live there. So, being an optimist, being a pessimist, being one who is working through life and negotiating things, that, it's just a story that we're going forward in. That how can we keep our own energy? Well, I know for me right now, you know, I had to do that. I had to kind of keep my own energy because of the fact that, what I do and where I am and when I go forward, life is happening around us. And I don't know. Yes, I'm guess I'm live on Facebook, so I'm grateful there. Sometimes they don't let you on later. That there's this dance of our story of how can we keep our energy our own and yet become an optimist out of banning pessimism. Someone's just telling me that I should just go live on because sometimes I get these people that come on uh whatchamacallit, let me go here, let me go here, there we go, let me go there and go live there. Okay, so um we're all in this story of I'm going to ground myself, actually. I'm going to ground myself because, these stories of where we're at and where we're going and managing and being and doing and our stories of how can we do this better, that, you know, nothing's going to be perfect. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone, actually, for those who are here, that this is a time to be grateful and to be thankful because of the fact that we never know what's going to happen. And I know for me, I lost a lot of my family early. And, today's going to be an optimism or pessimism and how to stay in your own energy. But this is one of the things that I want you to know is that, as we're going forward in our life, that being grateful for what we have, being happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Veronica, for being, you actually triggered me to remember it was Wednesday. And I am so grateful because I was thought you were talking about my show that I was on yesterday, and then all of a sudden it hit me, it's Wednesday. So with that, going forward and being in the story of gratitude, of having things, because I know for me that, less is more many a times. And that's where we're at. That sometimes when we're in this story of joyfulness, or that we get into this pessimism of why can't I have more? And I'm actually catching myself on this because the fact that I lost a lot of my family. And so what used to be, 50 people getting together has now gotten down to my 3. And, it's not a zip, zip, with the fiddle, feeling sorry for myself. It's not that. But there is these stories about how can we be optimists during the pessimism. And like my kid who is going to come to dinner tomorrow, said that, after listening to everybody else's stories, I'm kind of glad it's calm and it's quiet, because the fact that sometimes we get crazy with things, right? We get crazy with what's going on around us, and even if we are very quiet and something's happening, it's amazing to be grateful for the little things. So I am grateful for the little things. I'm grateful for my child who loves me. I'm grateful for my husband who loves me. I'm grateful for my life that loves me, even though it's perfectly imperfect. But I can tell you that being a pessimist, y- you know that woe is me's, this is going to go bad, I'm never going to get out of this, what am I going to do with this? you know there's these stories that we get into because we find that this circling back around and the circling around of who we are and what we're doing gives us the ability to get a benefit from being that pessimist. And we do get, I don't want to call it joyfulness or lovingness, or we don't, because the fact that especially if we're partners with a pessimist, or we have friends that are pessimists, that they usually kind of start pulling us down, right? And that pulling down is something that it's hard to get out of sometimes. And I know for me, sometimes I have to shake it off like a dog does, because those moments are very ouchable. It's like, why am I getting so down and gloomy? Well, it's because I'm hanging out with down and gloomies, right? So how can you keep your energy yours? Well, I can tell you is that having strong boundaries is one, because if we have strong boundaries, we have those boundaries that say, you know what, um, you listen to them, you give them credit for where they're at, you validate them, and then there's a way to say, you know what, I really need to go to the bathroom, or I really need to go do this, or I really need to do that. Ex you know, Take yourself away from the scenario, take a deep breath, and know that it's okay to separate yourself from that story of who is where they're at, right? So going forward in our lives and managing our lives, sometimes when we're in these stories of who we are and doing those doom and glooms, especially during these holidays, because so many of our family members, right? They do not necessarily value who we are. They talk bad about us. They do things that are storytellers, and they do things that are not necessarily good for us. But it's like we could set up boundaries. Hey, I'm trying to forgive the past. Can I move forward? Can we both move forward here? I am trying to find love where love isn't being. Can we find at least a little bit of a loving conversation here? There's these stories, and yes, these things may trigger, and you can say that and then leave the room, right? Go into another room. Take a break. Then come back in, because we all have these stories of where we're at and where we're going, but at the same time, this dance is an interesting process. It's an interesting process to be in this world. And being a pessimist, the best way we can come out of being a pessimist, now, being in depression is pessimism. Being in this process of going forward and doing what we're doing is pessimism. And we're really getting laid down, like going into a grocery store. What am I gonna have that's, and as I'm crossing my arms, what am I gonna get that isn't, is so expensive, and it's everything is so expensive. and yet we have something that's on sale, right? That might be better, but at the same time though, we're in such a pessimism we cannot see that story. And so if you can, the best thing I can say, and I mean this with honesty, gratitude is the best thing that gets us out of the pessimism. Because of the fact that if we find gratitude, even if it's for, I just took a breath, you know, the stories that we get in our minds, and it's so heavy lately. It is so heavy lately. So this new moon, right? This new moon, it's a great time. It's a great time to create new. It's a great time to start the story. And you know what got me off? I think it's because I was on somebody else's show yesterday. So I'm off by a day because of being on her show. And so I forgot. And then we got out of school early. It's just I ran into town, had to go to the bank, so here I am going back into the story, right, of being late. So I'm bringing myself down, right? But it's all okay because it all works out in a way. You know, I don't know. I'm just so grateful for Veronica. You just gave me a benefit. So with that, that no matter where we're at and where we're going, life is happening around us. And, I can sit and wallow in this, but I can also say, you know what? Maybe I hit somebody at the right time with this conversation, being a little bit later, I don't know. So going forward in our life, we're going to be hanging out, especially through these holidays, some pessimists. And I know many of us, if we're optimists, we're probably married to a pessimist. If we're optimists, we're probably brought down by a friend who's a pessimist. And I know that I work with a couple of people that lovingly said they learned pessimism. Honestly, you know, um, uh, and Veronica says I'm definitely an optimist. My husband is a pessimist, and it gets exhausting. It does get exhausting. And I can tell you quietly, my husband is too. But I'm trying not to talk bad about him because he's learning to be more optimistic. And it does get exhausting. When my husband was drinking, he was definitely a pessimist. And it was all I can do to find a path to create better. So what I ended up having to do was I ended up having to uh, you know, listen to music when I was in the car. Do something that was opposite. Build myself up. I'm a blessing. I'm a blessing. I am a blessing. You know what I ended up doing this morning? Because I'm doing something that I don't really want to do. I'm going into a situation I don't really want to do. But what I ended up saying was, I'm going to be my angelic self. I'm going to be my angelic self. I'm going to let my angelic self do the work. I'm going to be my angelic self. I'm going to be let my angelic self be the blessing. I am going to let my angelic self give me the battery to be who I am. And so, those around us who are very much loving balances, and hello on Instagram. I'm a little bit late and I apologize. And so, all my lights aren't on. So, it's a little darker. I apologize on Instagram. That love is around us, but being that pessimism and you know that there is this dance of having to do it. But what I ended up doing was talking to myself. I am who I am. I am love. I am light. I am who I am. I'm going to be love and light. I am letting my love and light heal those around me. I am letting my love and light heal myself and give me energy. So I was really communicating well with myself this morning to give me the energy to go through the day. And that's the thing is that self-talk is huge. Self-talk is really huge. So going forward in our life and managing our life and doing what we're doing, many times we get into these stories of what other people are telling us, the pessimists, right? We get into the story of the pessimist, but we forget that we are actually optimists. And there's those dances of how can we manage who we are in that way. And I apologize, this is getting hanging on my neck. That going forward in our story, I can repeat this over and over again, but the way to get over something or get through something, then stay more positive is just keep saying something over and over again, right? To go forward in our life, go over what we're doing, managing who we are. So let love and light be with you, because our stories are going to be what they're going to be. And I know for me that working through depression, like I have, working through an alcoholic husband, like I did for many of those years, now 10 years sober, thankfully, that these stories of pessimism, um, you know, that it does take being with an optimist almost to to help you balance. And so that's where hooking up a friend, doing those things around people, going out and doing things that are for your betterment. Now, for me, I have friends that like to go out drinking. I like to go out dancing. So, but I become their designated driver because I don't drink, right? So with that we go places where I can dance because that fills my soul, right? So how can you manage these dances that were been, it's how can we become more positive? And someone says on Instagram here, I've been homeless for 7 years. I'm reaching out for help to get identification. And, I'm sorry that you're in that position. And, you know, that's the thing is that, being homeless, I have not been homeless. I've moved 7 times in 3 years because of not this husband. My first husband was a drug addict. And so we had to move quite a bit because rent wasn't being paid. But it was in those times where it was easier to move at that time instead of becoming homeless. I probably would have become homeless, but my love is with you, by the way. Being homeless, it's not easy. That's the thing, though. The only one that can then, how do I say this with love? You know, I know that you need identification to get a lot of these jobs, right? You need identification for that. Oh, I'm so grateful for you that you say that you didn't do any drugs. Good for you. That is something to be huge about. Right? That is something to be huge about. But I can tell you that if there's a way that you can do, I know that there's my house got set on fire. Ouch. Um, ouch. Wow. Wow. Okay, so I know that in order to get identification, there are ways to negotiate where I know that there's some people that can pay you in cash for jobs, right? So then you go and you get you find those jobs out, and then you end up you go to a courthouse and getting some of your records that were up in the fire, maybe, and then you get that you go to one of those places that you can get your old records, and that's how you can get. I know in the state of Washington, where I'm at, that you can go to a courthouse and they have records on like birth certificates and stuff like that. So with that there are places to get your old records that are on fire. It's not easy by any means, and sometimes it doesn't cheap, but yet we you can do some of those things. So then you can negotiate going into this dance of going and getting a driver's license, getting an ID, even just like my kid who doesn't drive has an ID, so that she can or he can fly and that kind of stuff. Uh, so it's 67 pounds for a night. Um, and Glatso is different. Yeah, I bet it is different. And I'm only speaking because I'm here in the United States. So we have different ways, but there is sometimes a way to negotiate. It's finding the way. And I am so proud of you for not drinking and doing drugs, because if anything, that brings you down. Um, it's one of those things that can really bring you down, and I send you love. I can't help you in any other way, but I send you love. Veronica says maybe virtual statics for a certification birth certificate. Virtual statics for yeah. So there's ways of negotiating, and there's ways of working to. I know that there's some people in different places that can, even if you volunteer in a place, some people who volunteer in a place knows that there's a job that needs to be done, and if you're able to do that job, um, they may give you some cash because they couldn't, let's say, move a ladder and fix something on the roof, but they'll say, hey, I'll give you 75 pounds, I don't know the difference here, to give you to get you somewhere, and then there's some negotiation there. So try to volunteer. That's just coming in intuitively to me, because I'm a psychic medium intuitive. I'm Natasha Venter, psychic medium intuitive. That that this idea came to me is that volunteer someplace, and if you can, um, that you know if you can volunteer, sometimes those volunteer positions need more to be done, and they might get you another stage. So with that Salvation Army will help you with a lot of these two things too. But this person, it sounds like, since it's pounds, is over in England, so there's something different. But if we have something like the Salvation Army, which is a helpful place, thank you, Veronica, for that idea. And that you probably have some place like that helps you out, and I'm so I do everything work in homeless units, giving tea and coffee. Good job for you. But I'm talking about volunteering, like like a dog rescue, or volunteering in some place that is horse rescue, or something that maybe has a little bit different way of negotiating with monies than helping homeless. Does that make sense? Because usually you need to get someplace that has a little bit more moving forward. uh Lovingly said. um Homeless places, they work their hardest, and and that's a vicious circle in life. And so with that, going to some of these places, maybe you have to go outside of where you've been to negotiate this, because of sometimes the bigger cities have a little bit bigger help, but at the same time, it's going forward in this dance. And I know that they don't have that here in Scotland. Oh, you're in Scotland. Um, and and it's hard. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you for clarifying where you're at, because it's I have not been over in that area. I've only been to Spain, so I have not traveled, and so my knowledge of what is in your homeland is different than what I know of. And I know that have you oh, I'm thinking of different places, but I don't want to throw something to you that you've already thought of over the 7 years. But that's the thing that we're going forward is that how can we get out of where we're at? How can we negotiate that? And getting identity and getting ourselves straightened out. Sometimes, like I know somebody who is struggling with needing to get certain things, and it just seems like this person keeps getting piled on and piled on and piled on, and it's getting to where it's like don't even have money to go get car fixed to get things situated. So it's we have these things that happen, but I know for me when things were at their last moment and I asked for help, and I was willing to get vulnerable, and I was willing to do the work, and I was willing to get stepped up. I ended up getting help at some point, and I was having to be willing to get a crumb because one crumb adds to another crumb, adds to another crumb, and like the breadcrumbs lead to another breadcrumb, and it helps us get forward. Uh, it's one of those things. And um, there's not a story that is uh, that's going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy. I'm kind of reading a comment here, and thank you very much. That it's not a story that we can really get out of when we feel like we're getting pulled down and pulled down and pulled down and pulled down and pulled down. Well, but sometimes we have to look really out of our box, really out of our norm. And that's what the planets are really showing us right now is to get out of our box, to get out of our stories, to get out of, and this is a new moon, new ideas. I am done with this story of my life and I'm creating new by asking and be willing to be vulnerable enough to reach out to someone, right? Reach out to like you can say to someone who owns a pub or something, hey, I don't have credentials right now, but can I wash dishes, right? Can I do something that can help you out, help me out, and just give me some cash, and then that helps to get the circle going, right? So it's what we can do with that. And I'm sorry, reading comments here. So so I'm grateful that so you're getting kicked out of the shop that has Wi-Fi, and blessings to you, and know that no matter where you're at, that you have angels helping you. Just remember to step out of your own boundaries to create something that's new, and blessings to you on this journey. That you know there's a perfect example of someone who is negotiating something, and we're all negotiating something, and I know that I'm pretty damn lucky. I am very blessed, and I really don't have any place to talk, but I can also say that I have had big stressors, moving 7 times in 3 years because of a drug infused husband who didn't pay rents, and my credit was bad, and I had to really get vulnerable with myself to step out of that. And there's been times when we're in these moments of going forward, and I can tell you that as we're negotiating some of this story, that we have to believe in someone, and if that's ourselves, how can we believe in ourselves? How can we believe in something that we're doing? That there's not always going to be an easy dance, right? There's not always going to be an easy dance, but going forward is not necessarily a straight line. And especially with the energies nowadays, it's not a straight line, but it's us that keeps us in a box. It's us that keeps us in our stories. And the hi Marcel, that there's these stories that we're going through that really challenges us, and like our friend over in Scotland that's homeless and was asking for some insight, that there isn't any insight really unless we're willing to stand up our own selves, right? So my love goes to everyone that is struggling right now, because these dances are not easy. And as we're moving forward and doing our thing, that it's like I see this daily. I work in an elementary school, and how many kids are homeless. They live in hotels, they live with a family of 20 because that's who they have to live with, right? That But what they do is they get up and they go to school every day, because that's what makes them, it gives them food. That's what gives them the ideas of being able to move forward. This gives them education. This gives them the story of where we're at. And many of them are struggling big time. But the thing is, though, How can we negotiate where we're at with a looking through the back door? And pessimism, pessimism keeps us in spots. It keeps us in that shadows of our own selves that keep circling around. And the only way we can get out of pessimism is to go forward. And if we're living with a pessimist, if we're dealing with a pessimist, having boundaries, leaving the room for a minute to take a deep breath, and watch a happy video for a second. Like for me, when I was a kid, I used to listen to Carol Burnett, watch Carol Burnett. Well, Carol Burnett on TV, they're now on YouTube, right? And so you look up Carol Burnett shorts, maybe, or funny videos with Harvey Korman, and you watch those short little videos, and you can't help but laugh. And so when you do that, what changes is your own energy. And sometimes if you come in and you go, hey, I was just checking a text and somebody told me to watch this and I was watching this. You can lie, snidge a little, right? And somebody told me to watch this and I just thought this was hilarious. Would you like to watch it with me? And so, when we can do things like that to kind of help move things along, it's amazing doing that, because sometimes, we need to watch it ourselves, but then we can kind of go in and go, hey, like I just said, somebody texted me, said, look at this. And I had a minute, when I was in the other room, and I thought, I'll look at it. And it was hilarious, especially Harvey Korman at the dentist, where he kept giving himself numbing shots, right? And so his hands would get numb, and it's one of those things. So hi, Kaylee, and but we have to be responsible for our own selves. We really have to be responsible for our own selves. And I know that someone who's watching on Instagram, you know, she came through hell and high water in her own depression. And you know it's one of those things that you know she decided to make something that was laughable, and laughter was her own medicine. And that is a good teller, because laughter is our own medicine. And you know working with the family members that I have that are pessimists, and sometimes I would try to put on something that was funny. I would try to put on something that was and actually they did the same thing to me when my kids were younger. And I was very depressed from my parents passing away and going through all the death that I was going through with my family, that they would put on Carol Burnett because they knew that would make me laugh, right? So even when I was young, when my kids were younger, 15 years ago, they knew how to do that. So with that, know that there is these blessings going forward, and know that there is these struggles going forward, and know that we are in the midst of life altering experiences that are going to be implosions, that are going to be making us do things that we're not necessarily comfortable. But I can tell you, getting out of the comfort zone right now is our better, is the thing that's going to teach us, that is going to do the things that we need to do, is going to help us be who we are. And no matter where we're at and what we're going forward with, that um being blessed, finding the smallest things of blessed. I'm going to tell you, like me, getting on late here today and my girlfriend giving me grace, that was a blessing, right? That was a blessing. So give yourself grace if you can. Give yourself lovingness if you can. Give yourself the ability to say, you know what? I did that a little bit like I shouldn't have. I'm going to do it a little bit better next time. And if someone else is judging you about that because they're pessimists, take a break. Take a break, leave the room. Do something different. Break the pattern by breaking where you're at. Doesn't mean you have to do it rudely. Just say, just a second, I need to go do something real quick in the other room. I just remembered something. You know, just excuse me for a minute. I need to use the restroom. Do something that will be valued in helping you become more creative in your own self. So I hope that helps you those that are working through this story. So here it is. I'm doing my cards a little bit later. If you would like an oracle card, please say you would. I am going to pull out. You know, I think I am going to do. Who wants to come out today? I'm going to do Earth Magic. So I'm only going to do Earth Magic, and Earth Magic is where you can get like the Ancestors card. You can get the full moon, and that kind of stuff. So if you'd like a card, please ask. I would love a reading. Okay, Veronica. Let's see. So all I'm asking you to do is put intention in. I don't need to know what you're asking for. The universe does. So I am going to clear these cards and ask for loving balance here. And this is for Veronica. Okay, there's the connection, Veronica. Good job. So here I go. Kaylee, would you like a card too? And Marcel, would you like one? Okay, this is for Veronica. There we go. Can't shovel them like regular cards. They're too thick. There we go. Okay. I'm hearing fan it out. Hi, Kate. Okay, so let's see. Where's the card that's looking for you? Here it is. That's the one, Veronica. Gaia, nurturing. So this is for Veronica. Gaia for nurturing. Okay, so I'm going to read this. Gaia is Mother Earth and the feminine. Mother Earth, Mother Goddess, Great Goddess, Terra Mater, and Gaia. In the Greek, this is a magnificent being, was Earth's personified as a goddess, daughter of chaos. She was a mother and a wife of Uranus, heaven. It is her body that we walk upon every day, and the substance of our own bodies, and is the substance of her. It's from Gaia that we receive everything we need to survive, which she proves for us abundantly, nurturing our bodies, mind, and soul. She nurtures our bodies by offering the fruit of trees, the greens of the earth, and the air to breathe. She nurtures our minds through the awesome physical and dynamic beauty and depicted in this card. By the amazing colorfulness and divinity of the world, she is constantly creating and recreating. She nurtures our souls by cruising us with her blessings each day and challenging us to be better humans through her response to our addictions and intentions. So, yeah, her water is really blessing too. Receiving can be a sacred act if your intention is to honor spirit. It is as holy as giving when performed with a humble and open heart. This is even truer when receiving much needed nourishing. So let others give to you. It may be a stretch to do so at times because of childhood conditioning, but that habit can be overcome. Your wounds can be healed on way of achieving this is nurturing yourself. Allow others to nurture you. Consider the consider the actions you take that you are self-nurturing. What comes to your mind when you really think about doing beneficial things for yourself? Set aside your ritualized habits and benefits that restrict the poor act of following your body, heart, and soul to be nurtured. Lie on earth and ask Gaia to rock you in her bosom as you breathe in her and relax into her loving care. And you know what I would do too sometimes is that, sometimes I just go out onto the grass and I bow down and I just say, I give everything to you. I give everything to you so I can be my better me. And that surrender, that total surrender is something that is a blessing to do. So I hope that made sense, Veronica. So basically, Gaia is saying that it's about giving and receiving and remembering to go into your breath, going into your being, to realize that receiving is just as nurturing as giving. But remember that sometimes we have to receive, especially when we're living with pessimism. We receive when we can. So it's being open to that. Thank you, Veronica. Have a very happy Thanksgiving. Is there anybody else who would like a card? So that was Gaia. All that tremendous card. Colors, colors, colors. Nurturing. Nurturing. Okay, so since nobody else has spoken up, I am going to pull another card that is for us in general. And here in the United States, we're having Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone who is in the United States here. I am so thankful and grateful that everyone that is here and watching. Okay, this is for everybody. This is a card for everybody. This is what can we hear? What can we hear on this new moon, new chance, new opportunity? My lights turned off. Guess it's that time of the day. This new moon, new opportunity. What can we know and see? Okay, fan it out. Fan it out. Okay, so this card right here. Submerged iceberg. Submerged iceberg. This is for everyone. So, submerged and iceberg. Let me go to I for iceberg. GHI. Island. Lake. Where's the iceberg? I is land. Iceberg. Submerged. Whatever you suppress or deny and attempt to keep out of consciousness, awareness, will show up somewhere, somehow. These are your shadow aspects. At one time, you put them out of your consciousness for good reason, yet they remain contained by shame and guilt. Sometimes these are submerged aspects of yourself and project into others so that they mirror those denied and supportive parts of you. And you may even harshly judge those circumstances when they are exhausted. Now is the time to allow these elements to surface and embrace them. These may make up some sort of self expression, a secret dream you wish to accomplish, or even align, even aspects that are difficult to acknowledge or accept. Whatever you have submerged deep inside you, this is your opportunity to pay attention to those things and welcome them into a family called you. So, in other words, it is it's one of those things that as we're going in forward, that since we're in this new moon, new opportunity, hi, Sinbad from UK, that, when we're going forward with this new moon, like it was talking about, those things that are under the water, submerged, the iceberg, those things that are underneath the water, those are those things that either can hold us back or move us forward. It is time to be vulnerable with ourselves enough to be willing to say, I am able to create new, which means we got to release, shift, change, look at what we've been hiding to say, you know what? I'm looking at this. It's time to change it, to accept something new. So if you're feeling all fisted up, if you're feeling all struggled, if you're feeling in denial, you're feeling all those things uh, that are a struggle, and you're holding a fist with shame, guilt, and anger and frustration, sometimes we have to say, you know what? Were they really suiting me? And open your hand, because you may just receive something, right? Because as an iceberg has a lot of work to do underneath, but there's some things that are very beautiful on top. So if you can sometimes change what's on the bottom and move it to the top, beauty comes forward. Is there anything for you? Yes, Sinbad, we can do something for you. Thank you for asking. So I'm doing the Earth Magic, and these are new cards to me, and I'm not feeling like they're easy to read. So I apologize. So I will, next Wednesday when I start coming on, I will use other cards because these don't seem, but today it's going to be Earth Magic. I love these cards, but I need to get in touch with them so I read their own messages in my own way instead of trying to read them out loud. So, Sinbad, if you would like to, I'm a psychic medium. So all you need to do is put your thoughts out there of what you would like the cards to answer, and they will attune, the universe will attune, kind of like the radio will, or like these airwaves will come to you. And this message will come. So just put your thoughts and intentions out there, and I will, the cards will get them as I clear the energies for you, Sinbad. Sinead, I'm sorry, Sinead. I'm sorry, sweetie. I totally am messing up your name, and I apologize so much. Dyslexic here, so reading is a little of an interesting balance. Sinead, Sinead. It's a pretty name. There we go. Thank you. Woo! That card almost. I guess the universe is wanting to give you something. Oh, like yeah, O'Connor, good job. Okay. So there's the tree for grounding, the wolf for instinct, and the tsunami for wake up call. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the story of these cards because I'm getting a hit on what these cards mean for you. So before you do anything, like my girlfriend, when I was late coming onto the show, she said, remember to ground yourself. So before you go into thing, you need to ground yourself. And grounding yourself is like a tree. You need to be able to blow in the wind on top, but remember to have strong roots, strong integrity, strong knowing, strong being. Know who you are from your core, not your mind knowing, but your core knowing, right? And so when you're going forward, trust these roots. The intentions. Now, some of our intentions, some of our knowings are shifting a little bit. So remember to really sit down and ask, what is my truth? What is my knowing? Right? So, tree, grounding. So be willing to have the wind, let the wind blow through your limbs, but know to keep the roots, right? Because the wolf is like the dog. What instincts do you need to have to get through your life? Use your instincts, use your senses. This doesn't feel right. This isn't feeling good to me. This isn't knowing. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, this feels right to me, but let me take a breath to make sure I make that decision is right for me. Use your instincts that, oh, I'm hearing something that's not quite right to me. Maybe I shouldn't sign that contract right now because there's something that's not sounding right to me. So use your instincts, because of the fact that you're soon going to be going through a wake up call. You're going to be going through something that is going to be challenging you. I know for me, I've gone through a lot of personal implosions. I call them implosions because what things are coming to me that it's about to teach me. So instead of an explosion where everything's going outward, it's an implosion coming inward, right? And so with that, it's a wake up call. So anything that is happening outside of you to cause implosions, cause the structure, to cause disruption in your life, they are here to teach you, to help you. So, like for me, I just went through one with the eclipse and full moon, and I had to ask. Everything was showing me that who I was not good enough, right? Oh no, I know I'm good enough. So it really got me to know my roots so that the wind can blow through my trees. So remember that as you have your tsunamis coming through, the wake up calls, the wolf is telling you things aren't right, it's good to have your roots to know what to do. I hope that helps, Sinead. Thank you very much for coming. I hope that everybody has the blessings. And I do apologize for running over here a little bit, but I came in a little late, so I thought that I would go a little bit longer. So blessings to everyone. And Kate, I do hope that you're feeling better. I hope that you got some answers, and I hope that what I was saying earlier for you was helpful. So I will be back on Monday at 4 Pacific time with Regan Forston on Dance of the Soul. Not too sure yet what to talk about, but we always come up with something good. And I post usually the night before. You will find me Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time here on Instagram and on my YouTube channel and Facebook like normal. But today was the day before Thanksgiving, and I got a little distracted with time. Time got kind of lost, and I forgot what day it was. I apologize. And so, and if you cannot find, if you like to listen to podcasts, I am on podcast now with Life Clarifications with Natasha, and you can find us on most podcast platforms. Blessings to you on this journey, and please like and share and subscribe if you are on any of these platforms. Blessings to you. Bye now. Have blessings, and know, be thankful, because the little things make a difference.